Hello, dear friends. I wanted to share a special story that I was able to share with some friends the other night. We were hanging out and drinking some mezcal and playing some music, and this special story was one that I hadn't shared in a while, but I was reminded of it, and I'm excited to share it with you now. Several years ago, I was working in San Diego, and I had a patient who was a member of the Tijuana Riders biker gang. And I remember I walked in, and they're like, "Ian, just to let you know that the Tijuana Ryder biker gang is here in the hospice house." And I was like, wow, okay. So these big old dudes are walking around, and they were so kind, and they're just like, anything we can do to help our brother, you just let us know, and we're here for him. And so when I went in to meet the patient, his biker name is Astronomo, because from what they told me, he was very fascinated with the stars in space and just the poetry of the mystery of it. And so I went in to meet him, and he was just so calm and graceful. Like, he was facing his death, but he still was so courageous and kind through it all. And I'd ask him if he needed anything, and he'd always be like, no, thank you, I'm fine. And then I'd go back, and after a while, I just kind of had this gut feeling that he was thinking about some really beautiful, deep things, and maybe he wanted to share it. And so I asked him if he had anything he'd like to share with an open mind, and he's like, "You're the one I've been waiting for. Please sit down." And so when I spoke with him, he shared with me that this was his final lesson. And even though he was walking towards the door of oblivion or mystery or the next step or nothing at all, according to him, it was a way that he could still learn, and that the lessons that were being whispered to him now were the most important of his life. And he shared some really beautiful, honest things with me that day, and one was how God was revealing to him that he's not what man makes him out to be, and that God is for each man to find for himself. And he's like, God is in you, God is in me, God is in all living things. And he said, it's interesting how I've always been so fascinated by the stars, and yet God has revealed to me that I'm of the same dust as the stars, and how lovely to the stars I must return. I just love that. I just was so moved that he was so courageous and waiting for those words. And he says, I wait for the whispers of God to show me what living really is now that I'm leaving it all behind. And so I went home that night and I recorded this song. It's called I Wait for Words. And then when I arrived the next morning, he passed away. And I shared the story and the song with the bikers, and they're just like, oh my gosh, you have to come down to Tijuana and sing and share his story with the family down there at the biker club. And so I ended up doing that, and that was a whole other adventure and story that I'll have to share another time. But I'm honored to be able to share his story with you now, and his song. Here in silence I will stay, in a place far from my bird. And though the road uncertain as it is, I will be patient, I wait for words. Little dreamer, little boy, do you long to move the earth, to see the wind our Lord relays in clearer vision? The humble learn at any moment, all can change. One can grow to countless words. So in the eve of every day, stand reflecting on what I've heard. So here in silence I will stay, in a place far from my birth. And though the road uncertain as it is, I will be patient, I wait for words. I will be patient, I wait for words. What Astronomo taught me in his final moments was that we all have the opportunity to learn from all things, even our end. And that takes tremendous courage, and that also showed me that one is always an example to others to the very end. And in circumstances like these where the story is carried on, an example for all time, as long as the story is told. And it reminded me to revel in the mystery and the beauty of life and all things, and the journey to find God, and the adventure of it all. And so, as they do in Mexico, to commemorate the fallen brother, join me if you'd like. If you'd like tequila. But in remembrance of a wise man, Astronomo. Cheers. Salut. Ooh. See you next time, everybody.